everyone, I think whether you're a vegan, a paleo, a keto, high protein, whatever it is, we can all agree to get rid of sugar. Now, it's easier said than done, but I wanted to get into food intolerances because it seems like today more than ever, you can't get away with eating what you ate 10 years ago. The body just says, nope. And what is it? Is it the food supply? Is it the stress? What is leading to the food intolerances, which seems to be the real reason behind weight gain?
So I'd say yes and yes. How's that? and we're done. So our food supply has changed dramatically. But that hasn't been over the last 10 years. That's been over the last several decades. I mean, one of the things that happened in the 1950s is we industrialized oils, and that started a whole host of problems, starting like, and I can't believe it's still around, that there's still margarine, but margarine and Mazola and all this like stuff, right? So that was the first problem. But when you really look at the food over the last couple decades, and I should say food kind of like with little, food, because it's not really food. It's really frankenfood. Right. And when I wrote this book, what had happened was I was working with a lab company and I was teaching doctors how to use food sensitivity tests in their office to help with people coming in with just this kind of a host of symptoms that they didn't know what to do with. People would walk in, they'd be tired, they have headaches, they have joint pain, they have gas and bloating, skin problems, poor focus, cravings, and they couldn't lose weight. And we would do this food sensitivity test. And it took about 3 weeks for the test to come back. And so we'd send them off and they'd come back. And I started to realize as I'm looking at all of these tests from all over the place, hundreds of tests, that the same foods kept showing up. Now we had 3 weeks in between the tests coming back. So I thought, you know what, in the 3 weeks, since we're not giving them anything to do and they're highly motivated, why don't we just pull these most common foods that keep showing up on this test out? And then when they come back, we'll refine it. And, it's interesting because what I did was take a concept, the elimination diet, which has been used in medicine, natural medicine, for decades. But it was complicated. And when I really looked at IgG food sensitivity, which is what really is, what the symptom of leaky gut is that you start reacting to all these different foods. Your gut becomes more permeable, big culprit, stress, huge, but fructose and gluten, those two things are massive for it. Industrial seed oils will damage it. A lot of different medications will damage it. So there are a lot of things that can make your gut leakier. And then as it gets leakier, especially combined with stomach acid getting lower, you're aging, you're stressed, and we don't have great digestive hygiene. We sit there and guzzle our food, and then we eat the same things all the time. That food can get out into circulation where it shouldn't be. Our body goes, what on earth is that thing? It sees it as a foreign invader, not a friend. So it sees it as foe. It sends antibodies after to grab hold of these little antigens, these proteins from the food, because it's the proteins from the food that are creating the problem. And the antibodies and antigens get together and form immune complexes. And if it was just one every once in a while, your body would get rid of it, like a little Pac-Man macrophage. But when it's all the time, even if it's just a little bit every day, these things build up. And all of a sudden you have joint pain, or you have headaches, or you trigger your autoimmune disease, any of these types of things. So that's leaky gut. And those were the things I kept seeing. And so we pull people off these foods, and they come back in the office 3 weeks later and they dropped weight. Like 7 pounds in 7 days is my tagline for the Virgin Diet, because that was the average we saw, that the average person, when they pulled these foods, lost 7 pounds in 7 days. And because these foods are triggering a lot of inflammation. So yes, you're losing that fluid that's doing that, but you're also losing some fat as well. And the cool thing is, once you readjust, now you can just start to lose weight because your inflammation's down. You can't lose weight if you're inflamed. Right. So that's the first thing that happened. But they also, all of a sudden, they were like, their skin cleared up. I had one gal who was like, she was a singer in a group, and they all thought she'd gone off and had plastic surgery. Like, no. I just reduced the inflammation. So, headaches and joint pain and autoimmune titers, all this stuff happened. And what I realized was, we're looking at a very specific thing, these IgG immunoglobulins on a test, but we don't know everything our body could be reacting to. I don't know if it's the gluten or if it's the glyphosates. We don't know what really is going on there. And I thought, doesn't it make more sense to make your body, for you to be the scientist? You're the lead scientist on this project, and your body is now the lab. And so you're going to pull out the most common offenders, swap those for healing foods that help to just calm down that inflammation, start to get that leaky gut healing, and then start to feel what feeling good really feels like. And as you start to feel better, then you can go back one by one and connect the dots and try these foods so that you can see what it really does to you. Because when you've gotten rid of the protective antibody sitting there waiting to get that antigen and put it away, all of a sudden, if you eat the food and it doesn't work for you, you will know. It will be extreme. Like, I was in Las Vegas going to do a talk for A4M, for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, on food intolerance. This is what is so hilarious. And I was out with some friends eating sushi, not having the soy sauce, because I knew not only the soy sauce would have soy, but also have gluten, two of the common food intolerances. But for some reason, I didn't put it together, and I ate a spicy salmon roll, which had mayonnaise. And at the time, my gut was not handling eggs at all. And I remember I looked like the alien. I had to go up, up to my room. I'm thinking, am I going to be able to talk tomorrow? Like, do I need to go to the hospital? But, I'd unmasked this food sensitivity because I'd gotten rid of my protective antibodies, which is really, really important to do. So your body will tell you, and it's so much more powerful. I don't know how you feel about cheat days, but I think it's the dumbest thing ever.
I agree.
Because it's not a one-off. It's not like you eat this piece of cake and you're done. You ate the piece of cake and then a whole host of things happen because of it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens is it kind of triggers your body to go, I need more of that, right? When you are intolerant to a food, you will actually crave the very food that's hurting you as you're first pulling it out. And then you go eat it again. It's like you rip the scab off and now you have to start healing all over again. So I'm not at all a fan of this. And so what's great is as you're connecting the dots, you go, oh, this makes me feel like crap. I'm not going to have a cheat day and go eat something that makes me feel like crap for days afterwards. As you're doing this, I had one gal, she goes, I ate gluten. I didn't notice this thing when I ate it. She goes, but my weight went up 4 pounds.
Well, that's the thing, is a lot of people, well, that's interesting because that was a weight or a scale measurement, because most people will say, I can't eat gluten because it creates an issue with my stomach or it causes me to gain weight. But a lot of people out there will say, well, I have no food issues. I can eat anything. Oh, but by the way, I have knee pain, or I get headaches,
Right.
or my hair's falling out, and all of these other symptoms, and they're not connecting it to their food. Both of my parents were very thin growing up, and they've never had weight issues. And so they eat whatever they want. But all of a sudden, my mom is telling me that she's had some bowel issues all of her life, or she's running to the bathroom when she eats broccoli. I'm like, have you ever put it together that maybe it's the food that you're eating, or you've got headaches, or your memory is going down, all of these things? It's what you're putting in your body. And when I was eating the wrong vegetables, making me super bloated, and I eliminated them, and I felt like $1,000,000 within 3 days. The inflammation was down. My energy was up. I actually had a stomach and some abs instead of looking pregnant. I'm like, you feed me cardboard if that's what I'm supposed to eat. If I can have this energy and feel this great, it's worth it. So why would I derail myself on a cheat day? Now, that doesn't mean you can have a little extra of something that is within your tolerance, your food tolerance profile, but maybe a little more sweet. And, sugar, it's in and out of the body within a day. And yes, it's extremely addictive, but it's not as bad as the seed oils.